I heard about this. I watched a video today by Eric July. He's really, really good. I just recently started really following him. Not that I haven't followed him in the, not that I haven't seen him in the past, but I didn't really follow him. It's like, yeah, all right. He's he's sort of into like hardcore, metalcore. He has a anarchist band or whatever. I'm like, that seems kind of cheeseball, but I didn't really take a close enough look at him. Like, all right, I guess I'll check him out again. And he actually is pretty good. Very versatile guy too. Um, but very very wide array of different things he covers, from music to video games to politics, and very well rounded individual. Successful. Definitely something that the type of person you should look up to. I mean, he'll oftentimes talk about how he used to gang bang and all that type of stuff, and you know, he'll refer to it a lot. I don't really know his story. Again, I haven't been following him long enough, but it's cool to see how he's like. You can see, well, he's here at this point, so clearly he's worked hard for it. He's done something really productive with his time. So that's just a shout out to him. I'll link the video in the description. This is where because it's the video where one of his videos is where I saw this story. Um, about the Dodge City mayor, or former mayor now, I guess, resigning over threats. Now here's the thing. This is so disingenuous. She's making a political statement and she's resigning because she doesn't want to get thrown out on her head. She'd rather quit than take a loss. That's most likely what it is. But she was floating the idea around that she was floating the idea around of mandating masks, and people of Dodge City said, no, "You're not doing that." And I guess she received some threats on social media or whatever. You know, did what a lot of politicians do: play the victim. Uh, do what a lot of left wingers do. And I don't know what her political party is. Maybe she's a Republican or whatever because it is Kansas. But then again, Dodge City, it's kind of a tourist destination. It's probably got more liberal people there anyway. So it's probably actually not very left or very right wing. Even though it's not that big of a city or anything, it doesn't matter. There are left wing areas even in Kansas. Um, but nonetheless, people weren't having it, regardless of what her political party was. But I'm still going to call her leftist because if you subscribe to this whole mask mandate thing, we got to force it. You're a leftist. Um, you say, well, what about Republicans that support it? And like the whole Republican Party, just about, or big chunks anyway. And that's not even necessarily true. I mean, it's kind of iffy. They kind of sort of support it. But yeah, most Republican politicians are left wingers. They're not. I don't know why people get the illusion, the idea that they're on your side. They're not on your side. They'll never be on your side. They're on their own side. Okay. Anyway, this lady is clearly playing the victim, and I'm not. I don't care so much about the story because it's indicative of a larger pattern. I'll just use this story as an example. You're gonna start seeing a lot of this. I'm predicting this. I've been right on a lot of this stuff. Pains pains me to say it. I mean, it kind of does. It's also kind of like I also kind of get a, get a little elated because I'm like, yes, I got it. And then I'm like, and on the other hand, I'm like, but it sucks. No, but really, that's not why I'm doing it. But I do sometimes go, I told you. this is so obviously and so transparently a victimhood move. And you're going to see this more and more often. They already have been doing this for decades. Okay, this is why the right keeps moving. Is our Republican establishment, right? This is why the Republicans keep moving left. They're the left, but maybe 15 years behind, depending on what the issue is. Depends on the issue. Some issues are only 5 years behind. You know, but I'd say as an average, probably about 15 years. And the gap used to be wider too. That's another thing, is the rate at which the right is becoming more like the left is accelerating. Because the left can only move so far left. The Democratic establishment is not gonna move far enough left to the point where they abandon capitalism, because they need their donors. They're not stupid. They need Boeing, they need Raytheon, they need whatever, Turner, or whatever, all these different companies and stuff. Like, they need that support. But the social justice stuff, things like that, they're definitely gonna feign this left wing woke crap. And you see it on the right. It even on the right. I use that term loosely because they're not really the right. A lot of them. You see it just moving left. More and more people moving left. Capitulation. And they do this through victimhood. Victimhood is the means, the tool by which they push people who may have once been conservative into being moderate, and then eventually centrist, and even progressive. You know, they may have an R. They may have an R attached to their name. They may be registered Republican, but they are a progressive. All because they don't want to be looked upon as compassionless. I don't know if that's a word. Probably just made that up. I'm pretty sure that's not a word. But they don't want to be looked upon as lacking compassion. Okay? And it's a very it's a very trying to not success. I want to use a different word, but okay, we'll say successful tool. It works all the time. But it's not necessarily cunning. It's the same strategy. It's not that hard to do. You do it in your daily life all the time. Play the victim. People do it all the time in their daily lives. Play the victim to win an argument. Yeah, but what about this? Don't you care about that? And they win the argument. So of course it's going to be used in politics. Empathy is used as a weapon. And so sympathy. And what they want to do is they don't just want you to be sympathetic, they want you to be empathetic, which means you need to feel that pain. No, I don't. Sympathy. I don't have to sympathize with you either. I don't have to do that because your problem is not really a problem. I saw a video by Bearing. I don't know if you guys follow him, but one of his more recent videos, talking about this article someone put out. I think it was BuzzFeed. Shocker. Talking about how you shouldn't assign babies gender at their birth, and how they it hurt, basically how it hurt their feelings when someone called them madam. I don't identify. I'm non-binary, or whatever the thing is, right? They're neither male nor female, or whatever it is. I don't know. But getting being distraught over the fact that they go into a restaurant and someone says madam. First of all, if you're going into a restaurant and someone's calling you madam, you got money. I don't know what you're complaining about. They talk about their midwife. Oh, our my midwife growing up. Your midwife? What kind of money did you come from? It's kind of a sign of like rich white liberals, right? But it's so obvious you don't actually care about any of this stuff. It's so obvious you don't actually have any problems. And that's sort of the thing. Is like we've gotten to the point where people complain about being called a pronoun that they don't prefer. Him, he, she, her. How lame do you have to be to have that level of victimhood? The same thing as Dodge City mayor. Is your life so terrible that oh my gosh, there's some threats on the internet? Yeah, everyone gets threats on the internet. It happens. I've been threatened on Facebook, and I don't have a big following or anything. I don't do any of that political crap on Facebook. I got into one tiffed, or well, several tiffs, but over the same thing. It was back during the whole George Floyd thing, and the names people called me, and I didn't get offended. I'm just like, oh well, you lost the argument, I guess. I just stuck to the point. Picked apart people's arguments. They would tell me I'm missing the point, and I'd say, no, I'm not missing the point, and then I'd explain their argument back to them, and then they would just go, you're stupid. Oh no, I'm stupid. I guess I should go think about that for hours on end and cry myself to sleep. No, I don't know this person. It's, some of them I did. It doesn't matter. Oh, someone unfriended me. Someone I knew. Oh well, I guess they weren't my friend then. Don't fall for this victimhood trip and you go, I won't, but you do. You do. A lot of people do. I'm not going to fall for this. Okay. Here's a scenario. This brave soldier fell fighting for his country. Said, he fell fighting for his country. Honor him by joining the army. That's not victimhood. I've had people tell me, oh, well, why don't you just join the service? People tell me this. Oh, you don't have a job? Oh, have you ever considered the Army? Or the Marines? Or the Navy? People who are saved in the church, no sense of irony. It's okay to go kill a bunch of Muslims who are otherwise wouldn't be a threat to you. Just remember that. Just remember that. Conservatives. Oh, I know I just ticked off somebody. Don't call yourself a constitutionalist and conservative and think it's just fine to go blow people up. Don't call yourself a constitutionalist and conservative and think it's okay for a cop to go around groping people because it's a stop and frisk policy. It doesn't matter. They're violating your rights. If you disagree with someone beating down your door for eating with your family on Thanksgiving despite COVID restrictions, then you also have to, like I addressed this in the last video, you also have to be against it when they pull someone over because they smelled weed. And let's say they did. and let's say they caught some and they found it. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Can't see my fist. It doesn't matter there. Because that's what I did off camera. They will use victimhood. The establishment, the political powers that be, use victimhood to manipulate you. And even people who aren't in the establishment, don't fall for that. Here's the type of victimhood. Okay. You want to hear? Here's victimhood that you should, quote unquote, fall for. You should be concerned about. 64 million dead babies in the United States alone. 500 million worldwide from abortion. Think about that. Or no, I'm sorry, maybe it's 250 million. Whatever it is, it's too many. Think about those statistics for a second. Okay? Think about this. 22 veterans off themselves every single day from PTSD. Think about that. Because those are things that actually matter. The suicide rate in this country has essentially tripled in the past few decades. Think about that. Drug abuse has quadrupled in my lifetime. I'm 21 years old. It is almost quadrupled in my lifetime. And since the mid-90s, it has more than quadrupled. Think about that. And the rate at which it is increasing is going up. Alcoholism is up. Drug abuse is up. Suicide is up. And violent crime is up now, too. Life expectancy is down. Across the board. And all these problems can be linked to government policy. But you're falling for somebody in a BuzzFeed article or some broad in Kansas. Oh, I know I said broad. I offended someone somewhere. Complaining because someone called me the wrong pronoun, or someone tweeted mean things at me. Lefties, right-wingers, you're falling for this man died protecting his country in a war that, by the way, he didn't have to fight in. That's the irony of it all. You're gung-ho. And look, a lot of people on the right are like, yeah, we're against it. And you're like, why do you keep talking about this? I'm against it. Most of us are. Yes, but there's still a lot of people that are like, yeah, but we can't leave a vacuum. You're never not going to leave a vacuum. First of all, you're not leaving a vacuum. There's always going to be people there. It's kind of dumb. But secondly, power-wise, yeah, I guess you could say you're leaving a vacuum. So what do you suggest we leave in place? Other than the United States military. Because that's the only option. You either stay there or leave. Just know that Saudi Arabia right now is committing a genocide against Yemen, and we're backing them up. Just remember that cops are dragging people off to jail for not wearing a mask. And that's a direct violation of their constitutional rights. People need to realize that victimhood can be used as a weapon. And the only victimhood that should matter is, does it threaten someone's life and property? That's it. Violence, any sort of violence, is a threat to your life. And theft, any kind of theft, is a threat to your property. And not just your life, it could be other people's lives. You stand up for people's rights no matter who they are. That's what human rights is all about. The only time someone forfeits their rights is when they violate someone else's. Eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. You murder someone, you lose your life. Let's stop with the, lock him in jail. Oh, it was third-degree murder. Or I guess that's manslaughter or whatever. It depends on the state. If you unintentionally kill someone, then yeah, that's not murder. But if you intentionally kill someone, whether it's premeditated or not, I don't care if it was spur of the moment or if you're planning it out for 2 weeks, you die. Oh, that's a little harsh. That's a little cruel, don't you think? Oh, no. Oh, it's not. If you rape someone, you get castrated. We may, I get, I'm for peace and things like that, but I'm not a pacifist. I want you to understand, I still think there are some treatments that, yeah, may seem barbaric, but may actually be the best option. We're too soft on the people committing real crimes, and we're too hard on the ones who are creating crimes that shouldn't be crimes. Okay? Oh, he sold something across state lines. You can go to jail for that. Like, you can go to jail for stupid crap like that. That's not a joke. That's real. That's real. Interstate trade and all this stuff. Like, there's laws around that. It's insane. Okay? You can't sell your buddy a gun unless you're certified, unless you got all kinds of paperwork. When it's all said and done, it's just nothing but a hassle. It's not even worth selling the gun. But you can get thrown in jail for that. But you can murder someone and walk free if you just make a deal. It's amazing. It's amazing. By the way, 1/3 of all murders go unsolved in this country. There's so many issues that people don't talk, and that's not a joke. I'm not making that up. You can look up the statistics. Actually, it's more. It's just there's like a clearance rate statistic. I forgot the exact term. Like 64% of murders of murders that happen in this country aren't necessarily solved. They just find a perpetrator. They find someone who is suspected as being the killer. Doesn't even necessarily mean that person gets convicted. So with issues like that, by the way, it used to be over 90%. So it's not an issue of, oh, well, the technology's not there yet or something. Okay. The point I'm making, I know that seems like, oh, why is he talking about all this extra stuff? The point I'm making is that there's bigger issues in this nation, and people are only concerned with their sacred cows. There's like certain things they just don't want to touch. And I mean, being worried about whether or not someone calls you the wrong name other than what you prefer is such a first world problem. There are people overseas who are starving to death, who are dying in wars, and you're worried about whether or not someone called you sir instead of ma'am, or Z or Zer, or any of these other made up terms that are just bullcrap, right? And you wonder why our country's going down the toilet. I really want you guys to think about this. Just know, victimhood is a weapon. It is a weapon. I don't think you're immune to it. No one's completely immune. Otherwise, you wouldn't have any beliefs. You wouldn't have a cause. And you do. And you say, nah, I don't care. You're one of those nihilistic people who only cares about themselves. Well, you still care about victimhood. It's you. You don't want to be the victim. But either way, somebody's a victim and you don't like it. Just remember that.